right, so we're going to use this graph, okay, to explain to you guys which way our x and y value coordinates are going to be when we're talking about rotations. Okay, so I want you guys to think about being on top of the world. Okay, when you're on top of the world, things are going great, everything looks good. So it's positive. So when you're on top of the world here, you have a positive x value and you have a positive y value. Okay, when you're on the bottom of the world, you have a hard time dealing with things. Maybe you're sad. Okay, you don't feel so great. It's kind of negative. But not only is it kind of negative, it's double negative. So we have a negative x value and a negative y value. Okay, now let's go and label some things so that makes a little more sense. Okay, so we're going to look at the origin, and we have here, okay, we're going to have, that's a 90-degree angle. So when we're turning something, I want you guys to think about 90 degrees over here, and we're going to go clockwise, 90 degrees clockwise. So from one point, you're turning from that point 90 degrees. So you turn it like a quarter of the way. All right, then you go here, and that would be a 180-degree turn. So two rotations. Got another one. That would be 270 degrees. And all the way around the circle is 360 degrees. Okay, and that's when going clockwise. All right, so you have to say what's the opposite of clockwise, and it's going the other direction. And the other direction, so the pink directions, it's going to be a counterclockwise. All right, and so you're still going to make those rotations, but instead of like going from the top at 360 going left, you're going to make that 90 degree going counterclockwise. The bottom, it's still 180 degrees, half a circle. And then another quarter would be equal to 270 degrees counterclockwise. Now, how is that going to be important for when we are making our points, when we're writing our points for rotations? Okay, we already did at the top. Okay, so when we have a positive x and a positive y, and we make a rotation, okay, so we had that we're on top of the world. Anything up there is going to be high. It's going to be a positive and a positive. Okay, and then when we make a 180 rotation, we got a negative, negative. And so what is that going to mean on the outside? Okay, so let's say that we are going clockwise to 90 degrees. What is that going to do to my x and y value? Okay, that means my x and y values switch places. So we're going to have a y before the x. Now, the next step is really, really important. Okay, remember when you're on top of the world, everything's good. Okay, so when things are in your world and they make you happy, that's positive. So things that are on the outside of your world that might make you negative. So right over there, when we have the positive x value, we also have a positive y value. That means we have a negative x value. So not only does the x and y values switch places, that x value becomes negative. All right, so let's look on the other side, 270 degrees clockwise. Okay, what's that going to look like as a coordinate? That's going to be your x and y value. Also switch places. Now, the things that are close to you, want to keep them positive. So x is closer to the circle, closer to your world. We want it to be positive, and the y is going to be a negative value. So at the top, we have a positive x and a positive y. Okay, when we rotate either 90 degrees clockwise, that means our X and Y values are going to switch places. But it's really important that you look at which one's going to be a positive and which one's going to be a negative. And then at the bottom, when we have a negative and a negative, that's a 180-degree rotation. And that is how you can tell if it's going to be positive or if it's going to be negative X and Y values.